In the year 1218, a single act of arrogance set in motion one of the deadliest invasions in human history. A Mongol trade caravan sent under the personal protection of Genghis Khan himself was seized in the wealthy Khwarazmian city of Otrar. The governor, Inalchuk, accused the merchants of being spies, executed every one of them, and seized their goods. When a lone survivor returned to the steppe with the news, Genghis Khan sent an embassy demanding justice. The Khwarazmian Shah, Muhammad II, responded by shaving the heads of the Mongol envoys and executing one of them, an insult no steppe ruler could ever forgive. What followed was not merely war, but annihilation on a scale the world had never seen. Entire cities were erased from the map. Irrigation systems that had sustained civilization for centuries were destroyed, and an estimated 15 million people perished in the flames of Mongol vengeance. This is the story of how one governor's fatal mistake brought down the mighty Khwarazmian Empire and turned Central Asia into a graveyard. To understand why this insult proved so catastrophic, we must first travel back to the early 13th century and meet the two powers on a collision course. In the windswept grasslands of Mongolia, Temujin, better known to history as Genghis Khan, had spent decades forging scattered tribes into the most disciplined war machine the world had yet produced. By 1206, he had unified the steppe under a single banner, proclaimed himself universal ruler, and begun looking outward for conquest and wealth. His armies rode small, hardy ponies, lived off the land, and struck with terrifying speed. Every warrior was an archer capable of loosing arrows from horseback at full gallop, and the Mongol tumans, units of 10,000, could cover distances that other armies thought impossible. To the southwest lay the Khwarazmian Empire, a sprawling Muslim realm that stretched from the Caspian Sea to the Hindu Kush. Its ruler, Ala ad-Din Muhammad II, styled himself the Second Alexander and commanded cities of legendary wealth. Samarkand, Bukhara, Gurganj, Merv, jewels of the Silk Road glittering with mosques, madrasas, and bazaars filled with silk, spices, and precious metals. The empire's army was massive, numbering perhaps 400,000 men, including heavily armored cavalry and war elephants. To the Shah and his court, the distant Mongols seemed little more than barbaric nomads, unworthy of serious concern. Genghis Khan, however, saw opportunity. Trade was the lifeblood of the steppe. Mongol prosperity depended on exchanging horses, furs, and slaves for the luxuries of the settled world. In 1218, he dispatched a caravan of 450 Muslim merchants and 100 Mongol guards, laden with gold, silver, Chinese silk, and rare furs to establish peaceful relations and open commerce. The great Khan personally guaranteed their safety, a gesture of extraordinary importance in steppe culture. When the caravan reached Otrar, Governor Inalchuk, possibly acting on his own greed, possibly under secret orders from the Shah, saw only a chance for profit. He accused the merchants of espionage, slaughtered them almost to a man, and melted down their gold into ingots for the imperial treasury. Only one Mongol escaped to carry the terrible news back across 1,000 miles of desert and mountain. Genghis Khan's reaction was not rage in the ordinary sense. It was cold, calculated, and absolute. The execution of his merchants was a direct challenge to his authority. The subsequent humiliation of his envoys was an insult to his very person. In Mongol tradition, an ambassador was sacred. Harming one was declaring total war. The great Khan climbed a mountain alone, removed his hat, and prayed for 3 days, asking Tengri, the sky god, for victory. When he descended, he declared that the Khwarazmian Empire would cease to exist. In 1219, 400,000 Mongol warriors, perhaps the largest single army ever assembled under one commander until modern times, crossed the Jaxartes River and entered Khwarazmian territory. The Shah, expecting the Mongols to besiege one fortress at a time, scattered his vastly larger army across dozens of fortified cities. It was the worst possible decision. Genghis Khan split his forces into 5 armies led by himself and his sons, striking simultaneously across a front wider than Western Europe. Otrar fell first. After a 5-month siege, the city was taken by storm. Governor Inalchuk was captured alive. Legend records that the Mongols poured molten silver into his eyes and throat, the same metal he had stolen from the murdered caravan. The population was massacred or enslaved. The city was razed so thoroughly that archaeologists today struggle to locate its ruins. Then came the great cities of Transoxiana. Bukhara, the holy city of Islam, surrendered after a short siege, hoping for mercy. The Mongols spared the walls but burned every building except the great Kalyan minaret. 12,000 defenders were executed. Artisans and young women were led away as slaves. The rest of the population was driven into the open and cut down. Samarkand, the imperial capital, resisted for weeks. When it finally fell, 30,000 elite Khwarazmian soldiers who had been promised quarter were slaughtered anyway. Genghis had decided that treachery deserved no mercy. The city's irrigation canals were destroyed, turning orchards and fields into desert. The horror reached its peak at Merv and Nishapur. At Nishapur, one of Genghis Khan's favorite sons-in-law was killed by an arrow. In retaliation, the entire population, estimates range from 700,000 to 1.7 million, was put to the sword over 4 days. The city was leveled, the soil plowed, and even cats and dogs were killed so that nothing living remained. At Urgench, the old Khwarazmian capital, the Mongols diverted the Amu Darya River to flood the ruins after the massacre was complete. By 1223, the Khwarazmian Empire had vanished. Its libraries, palaces, and irrigation systems, centuries in the building, were gone. The population of Khorasan and Transoxiana dropped by as much as 90%. The Mongol invasion did not merely defeat an enemy, it erased an entire civilization from the map, and all because one governor in one frontier city believed he could insult the most dangerous man alive and walk away unpunished. The insult that killed 15 million people was never forgotten. It taught the world a brutal lesson. Genghis Khan would trade in peace, but if you chose war with him, he would answer with extinction.